If you knew Jesus was going to show up in person somewhere nearby, would you go visit him? Did you know that's really possible right now? Jesus said, visit prisoners. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point? Well, to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus said comes from Matthew 25, and we're going to be reading from verses 35 through 36. And Jesus said, and he's talking about the end times here, he's talking about the final judgment, and he says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Jesus said, visit prisoners. In Matthew 25, Jesus is talking about the end of all things, which a lot of people are concerned about right now with all the craziness in the world. You may be worried about that too. Jesus explained that at the very end of everything, people will be separated into two groups, two different eternal destinies, heaven or hell. He uses the analogy of dividing sheep from goats. What's the difference? Well, the pop quiz on this day of judgment is all about how you treated the least of these, the hungry, the poor, the outcasts, the stranger, literally immigrants, and even prisoners. Now, that's not a pop quiz that you want to fail. There's not a makeup test. And it really shouldn't be a surprise that this is what Jesus said we would be evaluated on. Jesus started his ministry reading from this in Isaiah. He was in a synagogue and they gave him a scroll, and he went to this place in Isaiah in Luke 4:17. And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and the regaining of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. And the eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fixed on him. And he began to tell them, "Today, this scripture has been fulfilled, even as you heard it being read." So let's talk about that. This is how Jesus started his ministry and how he lived his life as our example. And we're told that we're to follow him and to follow his example. So let me ask you this question. Would you go see Jesus in person? I mean, think about this. If you knew Jesus was going to show up in your hometown today, would you show up? What if your eternal destiny depended on it? Reading on in Matthew 25 in verses 37 through 40, Jesus made it clear that those who passed the eternal test by helping and visiting the least of these were actually doing it for Jesus. He said, "And you visited me," or "you did it for me." And just the opposite was true of the goats who failed the test. You didn't do those things, literally, for Jesus, him. Would you go see Jesus in person? At the end of all things, as we make excuses, there's probably going to be a lot of, "Hey, but Jesus, did you see who I voted for? Did you see all the rules I kept? Did you see how many times I went to church?" And the saddest part of this story is that for those who didn't pass the pop quiz, Jesus said, "I never knew you. You failed the test." What is that test? The test is, did you show up for the least of these? Now, not everyone is called to jail ministry. This isn't a rule as much as it is a principle. But Jesus said, visit prisoners. There's a lot of different kinds of prisons. There's prisons of loneliness. There's prisons of poverty. There's prisons of despair and depression. Who can you visit Jesus said, visit prisoners. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening today. If this is meaningful to you, it would mean a lot to me if you like it, if you share it, if you comment. Really appreciate you. So have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.